Portions of our broadcast day may be presented either in whole or in part by means of videotape or film reproduction. Good morning. This is KPTX TV 49, signing on the air to begin a new schedule of broadcasting. KPTX TV 49 is owned and operated by Columbia River Television Incorporated and transmits on a frequency of 680 to 686 megahertz with a visual effective radiated power of 2.612 million watts. It's authorized by the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. Our main studio is located at 1 Columbia River in Vancouver, Washington. Our business offices are at 910 Northeast Union in Portland, Oregon, and our tower is on Skyline Ridge, also in Portland. Sound and picture are relayed by microwave station VHS 376. And now the entire staff and management of KPTX TV 49 wishes you a pleasant day.
Bankruptcy. It can ruin your life.
I wasn't making enough money to pay my bills, getting further behind, and my creditors were on me. Almost filed bankruptcy. But I heard it would stay on my credit record for 10 years. It would be tough to buy things on credit.
Consumer Credit Counseling Service, the best alternative to bankruptcy.
They solve debt problems by working with your creditors to avoid bankruptcy.
Call Consumer Credit Counseling Service today.
I'm glad I did.
Do you have every issue of National Geographic published since 1978?
Do you even know what's on top of your refrigerator?
Help for Pack Rats, tomorrow at 9.
Some Ninja Turtle knowledge with JJ and Robert, Wednesday at 5.
How stress affects your pet's behavior, tomorrow at 9.
Hi, I'm Ron Carlson of Channel 2 Sports. If you're a sports fan like me, you love a challenge. That's why KATU has come up with the Channel 2 Sports Challenge.
All this month, pick up an entry blank at Les Schwab Tire Centers, and if we pick your name at the end of the month, you can challenge Steve Arena, Grant McComie, or me in any one of 10 sports.
Win or lose, we'll show the results on Channel 2 News. The Channel 2 Sports Challenge. Enter today, if you're good enough.
Is your pet under stress? How can you tell if something in your pet's environment is causing tension? Tomorrow on AM Northwest, we'll hear what a local veterinarian has to say about the stresses that cause behavior problems in dogs and cats.
Our home decorator, Debbie Clunas, will show us how to store and preserve irreplaceable old linens, and we'll talk to one of the nation's leading trial lawyers about his brand new novel called Partners. Join us tomorrow at 9 for AM Northwest.
Your fine car needs more than the best equipment to gleam new again after an accident. International Collision Repair's brand new painting facility is state-of-the-art, but it takes more. It takes these hands, these people, professional auto body engineers, so skilled, so caring that International Collision Repair offers you their unlimited guarantee. It's your right to choose your repair shop. Choose the best people. International Collision Repair, 252-1900.
Vanco Mobile Homes. Fact, Vanco takes pride in caring for their customers.
We were so pleased that Vanco sold our home so quickly.
And even though we were out of town, I felt perfectly at ease.
We intended to rent, but we discovered that through Vanco, we could get into a home with more space for less money.
Hi, I'm Lee Van Winkle, founder of Vanco Mobile Homes. We've built our reputation satisfying customers just like the Lenos. Stop by one of our 4 friendly locations today.
Wall Systems Plus presents the annual Bookcase Bonanza. Over 500 oak bookcases of all sizes are now in stock and ready to go. Prices start at only $49.99 and no assembly required. Save big on a huge selection. Only $449 buys this 8-foot wide, 7-foot tall oak bookcase wall system. And don't forget to buy a matching desk and chair. Our prices are so hot. Wall Systems Plus, your hot source for oak furnishing.
Find out what's on Fox 49 tonight. Call Fox 49's News Now. Dial 244-4444. Then punch category 4949 for the Fox News menu.
Hi, Bob here. Who sells more retail Chevrolet and Geo cars and trucks than any other dealer in the Portland, Vancouver area? Surprise.
Bob Kendall.
Bob.
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 Bob Kendall.
Bob.
I saw the Bob 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 commercial about Chevys and Geos selling for less in Vancouver. He's right. That's why I bought from Bob.
Chevys and Geos simply sell for less in Vancouver. Cross the river and find out for yourself. You'll be glad you bought from Bob, too. Bob Kendall Chevrolet Geo just across the I-205 bridge at Mill Plain.
Are you alone? Desperate? Do you need somebody to talk to? Are you sitting in the dark trying to do your taxes? Stan Terrell with Columbia Bookkeeping. I'm your tax time companion. Seriously, for fast refunds, when our licensed professionals prepare your returns, we will electronically file with the IRS free. Columbia Bookkeeping is open evenings and Saturdays, too. Call Columbia Bookkeeping anytime for an appointment. There's no charge for this one-on-one conversation.
If you're considering a career in radio broadcasting, then Broadcast Professionals, the complete school of radio broadcasting, is the place to get your education. With just 9 months of training, you'll be able to understand and operate all the equipment that you're seeing right now, and you'll be learning from respected broadcasters in the Portland area. Come in now for a personal tour, a voice analysis, and a free tape of you doing a commercial. Call for an appointment at 244-5113.
Call now for classes beginning May 4th.
Schoolhouse Furniture in Tigard.
Take a look at this application.
Let Western Business College get you ready for success in your career choice. Accounting, secretarial, medical, travel, or computer.
Congratulations, you're hired.
Get the great benefits of a professional career now. Call Western Business College today.
Last year, car crashes left over 45,000 Americans dead. Hundreds of thousands more seriously injured. Their lives changed forever as a result of someone else's carelessness. If you're a victim of an accident, do you know where you can turn for help?
The law offices of Benton and Kinsley.
They have had years of experience representing innocent victims. Put their experience to work for you.
The law offices of Benton and Kinsley. Call us today.
At Timberline Dodge, it's your choice. They call us a fleet dealer, and you choose your new Dodge at fleet prices like this new Dodge Shadow with features like these at $73,07. Or choose a Caravan. Fleet price on this one is $12,212. One car or 100. The fleet price is in at Timberline Dodge. That's why Portland's best price on any new Dodge car or truck is at Timberline Dodge, or I'll eat my hat.
Formal occasions deserve formal attire. Formal attire means Mr. Formal. Staffed by expert professionals, Mr. Formal does more weddings and proms than any company in Oregon and Southwest Washington. With over 50 styles and 10,000 tuxedos and accessories in stock, you're sure to find just what you need. And with Mr. Formal's wedding and prom special, you're sure to find just the right price. $39.95 to $59.95. Mr. Formal. Serving Portland, Vancouver, Salem, Corvallis, and Eugene.
A speeding truck forced a car into this guardrail. Through no fault of his own, the driver was seriously injured. He hasn't worked since. Suppose this were to happen to you. Who would you call for legal advice?
Call Banton and Kinsley Attorneys. If you've got a cause for action, we'll take it. Call for free consultation.
There are statutes of limitation. Act now before time runs out.
Oregon Polytechnic Institute,
OPI,
presents 45 years of tradition.
My dad graduated from OPI in 1959 with a degree in drafting. He was promoted in his job to plant superintendent. I'll be graduating in April. It's an excellent school. 2 generations of my family can vouch for that.
OPI.
Celebrating 45 years of technical training excellence in Portland. Call 234-9333.
OPI.
Traditionally, a step ahead.
We're talking with Kent Snyder of Snyder & Associates. Kent,
A reader of your weekly column writes, "My wife and I have our own company and are behind in our payments to creditors. Can the bankruptcy laws help us?"
Yes, they can. The bankruptcy laws give you and your business immediate relief and allow you to keep the business and your personal assets. At Snyder & Associates, we help people get their businesses on solid foundations again. Anyone can call us for a free consultation.
Be sure to read Mr. Snyder's column about bankruptcy laws every Wednesday in the Oregonian.
Tom, spring is finally here.
Yep.
And that means people are looking out their plain old windows.
That's right, Mike. Spring means vertical blinds, and RMD's vertical blinds are great. They give you total light control, easy operation, and they look just like a drapery.
And this month, Delmar has their entire line on sale at RMD's.
Choose from PVC to macrame, free hanging fabric to fabric inserted in a channel. Top them all off with a custom valance, and they're all on sale at
RMD's.
Weston Culinary Institute, one of the nation's finest culinary art schools, also boasts one of the Portland area's finest dining rooms. Graduate students on their way to restaurants around the world prepare and serve fresh, elegant dishes for lunch and dinner in classical European style at surprisingly affordable prices. Our extraordinary menu changes daily. The dining room at Weston Culinary Institute, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Friday. Call 223-2245 for reservations.
Can a job be fun? Call National Broadcasting School now at 242-3235 for free information on day and night classes, job placement assistance, financial aid to qualified students, on-the-job satisfaction, on the air, and behind the scenes. Classes are forming now, so call for free information. National Broadcasting School, 242-3235, 242-3235.
Oh, boy, am I hungry. It's time to eat my snack. But before I do, I think there's something I'm supposed to do. Wash my hands. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I think what I'll do is just wipe my hands on this towel, and then they'll be nice and clean. What? Oh, Mr. Bubbles.
Oh, let Bubbles show you how to wash your hands, Jelly Bean. Put some soap on, and first you scrub the insides really hard. Then you scrub the outside.
And then you
open your fingers apart and scrub the in-between. That's right. And when you do, you're going to have lots and lots of... Right. Then you're going to rinse your hands under the water and dry them off.
Oh, right? Like a towel like this?
Oh, Bean, you need a nice clean towel to dry your hands.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bubbles. Now I'm ready to eat my snack.
Right.
For details, call 248-3816.
The holiday season is a great time to help out our less fortunate neighbors. In keeping with this spirit, Domino's Pizza is teaming up with other local businesses to collect food for the needy through the Portland Police Bureau's Sunshine Division. With your next Domino's Pizza delivery, the driver will be happy to collect your canned food donation. This year's efforts by Domino's Pizza and you will go a long way in feeding the needy families in our community. Please help the Sunshine Division feed the less fortunate Portland families who might otherwise do without this holiday season. The Sunshine Division thanks the following businesses for their support.
Oregon probably has the toughest drunk driving laws in the United States of America.
Most Oregon drunk drivers avoid prosecution through something called diversion. Many of them simply skip out on treatment, and there's no penalty. And most of them don't carry insurance anyway.
DUI is still the most frequently committed violent crime in our state.
Actually, the honest truth is we can't afford to arrest more people.
Lars Larson investigates what happens if you drink and drive on Northwest Reports, Monday at 8 on KPTV 12.
Ice-Capades, presented by Legs Sheer Energy. That's excitement. That's spectacular. That's Yabba Dabba Doo, Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, and the Flintstones, America's favorite cartoon characters from the world of Hanna-Barbera, live on ice.
It's hot.
Ice-Capades, presented by Legs Sheer Energy.
Coming to the Memorial Coliseum Wednesday, December 4th through Sunday, December 8th. Tickets are available at the box office and all Ticketmaster locations.
The Star Trek 25th Anniversary Special on KPTV 12, this Saturday at 2, brought to you by Waterbed Center, National Waterbed Retailer of the Year.
Men, at this time of year, they only want two things, tools and more pegboard. Thank goodness Freddy's is having a do-it-yourselfer gift sale. I can get my husband this Makita driver drill, just $64.99. And then there's hobby tools, Skill Classic tools, tool boxes, shop vacs, all on sale. Check this out. Savings on names like Skill, Black & Decker, and Stanley. Soon that pegboard will be full. And then maybe he'll build something.
What can parents do to help make their children happy and more productive at school? It's simple. Get involved. Keep up with your child's activities on a day-to-day basis. Go over homework together. Note the dates of upcoming school events on a calendar so your child arrives prepared. And to make the teacher's job a bit easier, sign and return those school papers promptly. It's easy to make a big difference in how well your child does in school.
All right, who took the hangers? Who took the last light bulb?
Oh, come on.
Okay, who took the batteries out of my flashlight?
Uh-oh.
Ever notice how you run low on things this time of year? Thanks to the Fred Meyer 91-cent sale, you can stock up and save on the things you need, use, and buy most. For cold winter weather, for the car, or for the home. The Fred Meyer 91-cent sale. It's a great way to kick off 1991.
Come take a spin. Stroke a painted pony. Discover hidden wonders. Get a kick out of the folk art exhibition at the Portland Art Museum. We're bringing folk art closer, and these classic examples of American folk art are meant to be touched. Look and touch when you visit Access to Art, now through February 3rd at the Oregon Art Institute's Portland Art Museum. Sponsored by KPTV, US West, and K103 FM.
Don't burn up your money on an expensive divorce when it's only $68 at Budget Divorce. Call 233-3000. That's 233-3000.
Get tomorrow's weather forecast tonight from Jim Little at 11. Tonight on Channel 2 News at 11.
A tragic summer accident leaves a teenager dead. Good evening, I'm Julie Emery.
And I'm Jeff Gianola. A popular jumping spot near Wilsonville turns out to be a dangerous place. One young man drowned tonight.
Beaverton goes to voters again, asking for money to make room for an overflow of students. We'll have results of this and other school elections.
And protect Northwest salmon by being paid to fish. We'll have details on how you can help the environment.
Join us for the news at 11.
This is a Channel 2 News Brief.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Julie Emery.
And I'm Jeff Gianola. In the news tonight, we'll show you the fire now burning out of control in Central Oregon. So far, more than 11,000 acres have been charred.
An Indian guru from Southern Oregon speaks to a group in Beaverton tonight. Some fear he'll set up another Rajneeshpuram.
And part of Chicago is a little brighter tonight. The lights have been turned on at Wrigley Field.
It's 72 degrees in Portland right now. At 11 o'clock, we'll have the latest weather forecast and all the news. Join us at 11.
The spirit of the Northwest on KATU.
Channel 2 News at 11. With Jeff Gianola and Julie Emery. David Apple's weather. Steve Arena with sports. And the entire Channel 2 News team.
Good evening, everybody. Here's the latest at 11. Fire crews are losing their battle against the worst forest fire to hit Central Oregon in the past decade. The Polana fire has now raced through more than 11,000 acres and continues to burn about 20 miles southeast of Bend. The blaze is threatening 2 resort areas. Authorities are preparing to evacuate resorts at East Lake and Newberry Crater. More than 1,000 firefighters were busy today. 200 more arrived tonight. Meanwhile, a helicopter fighting the fire crashed earlier tonight. The pilot was taken to a nearby hospital with head and neck injuries.
Last week's tragic accident on Interstate 5 may lead to a permanent ban on field burning in some areas along the freeway. The task force set up to look for ways to keep that accident from happening again met for more than 4 hours today in Salem. Smoke from a field burn is being blamed for the 23-car chain reaction accident that killed 7 people and left dozens injured. The task force will meet again tomorrow. Members agree that the best way to avoid another accident is to prohibit burning along some sections of the freeway. An Indian spiritual leader wrapped up a speaking tour in Oregon tonight. He preaches peace and serenity, but he's also the subject of controversy. Phyllis Burke reports.
Some see him as a saint,
Others is an abuser, and about 100 people came to the Valley Conference Center in Beaverton to see Thakur Singh for themselves. Singh is the spiritual leader of Kapal Light Satsang, a sect that claims more than 130,000 members worldwide, including a commune in southern Oregon. Singh believes in a vegetarian diet and achieving oneness with God through meditation, which can be achieved with the help of a master like himself.
He is connected with us, but we are not connected to him. We have not accepted his connection.
What residents in Douglas County couldn't accept was a proposal by Singh's followers to build a boarding school near Umpqua. The County Planning Commission denied the proposal. There is also controversy surrounding Singh personally. Several former women disciples claim he sexually molested and beat them. Singh declined to talk to us tonight, but has previously denied the women's allegations. What do people tonight think of Thakur Singh?
I had a real difficult time understanding what he was saying, so I couldn't grasp very much of it at all. But I'm sure it would be real interesting to get more in depth on it.
I enjoyed it. I didn't, of course, understand everything, but that's only to be expected considering that the ideas are given at many levels for many different kinds of people.
Singh's followers plan to appeal their proposal for a boarding school to the Douglas County Commission later this month. And Singh will continue his American tour in Washington State and Hawaii before returning to India. In Beaverton, Phyllis Burke, Channel 2 News.
Advice tonight for Governor Neil Goldschmidt from the man who used to have his job. The governor is blaming the Republicans for not supporting his call for a special session to deal with his proposed anti-crime package. Well, today, former Governor Vic Atiyeh spoke out. He says the governor's plan wasn't well thought out.
You are not the king. You really have a legislative body.
A reward is offered tonight for information leading to the conviction of 2 people who killed a Vancouver man this week.
Also, police have released composite sketches of the man and woman who broke into the man's home. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Hill.
And I'm Kim Singer. The family and friends of Ken Milosevic are still picking up the pieces following Tuesday night's savage shooting. It happened in the Mount Vista area of Clark County in the quiet Vista View Estates. Rosie Fiallo has the latest now from Washington.
Friends remember Ken Milosevic as a family man and a hard worker. This photo was taken recently near Tillamook. Milosevic proudly displays the best catch of his life, a 50-pound salmon. He went on a fishing trip with a coworker the day he was gunned down.
Everybody's pretty much in shock, and people are talking and trying to talk it through, but I guess the only thing that'll take care of it is time.
Milosevic was killed Tuesday night in his home while trying to be a good Samaritan. Investigators say a couple claiming car trouble killed the Vancouver man. The first suspect is described as a white male in his early 20s with a fair complexion and about 6 feet tall. Police are also looking for a white female in her early 20s with a fair complexion, 5'2" or shorter, wearing glasses.
I can't comment as to the sequence of events at this point in time.
Investigators are releasing few details about the shooting. They say they don't want to jeopardize their investigation. They did say robbery triggered the killing.
The conversation that Mrs. Milosevic overheard would lead us to believe that the motivation for this event was robbery.
Police say Mrs. Milosevic saw the suspects and heard the conversation with her husband. She escaped unharmed and called 911. Investigators say the Milosevic case is a brutal reminder for others. Police warn you shouldn't open your door to strangers asking for help. Instead, call 911, let them know that help is on the way, and let police take care of the rest. In Clark County, Rosie Fiallo, the 10 o'clock news.
Now, anybody with information on the Milosevic case is urged to call the Clark County Sheriff's Office directly. Their number is 206-699-2211 or 206-699-2426. If you know something and you don't remember the numbers, look it up. They need your help. A $2,500 reward is being offered.
And we have more tonight on yesterday's suicide on the Markham Bridge. Police in the Dalles found a calendar that lists the activities of a distraught 23-year-old man. Police say Donald Warren McDaniel apparently killed his mother and then killed himself on the Markham Bridge yesterday afternoon. Investigators in the Dalles found what they are calling a death calendar. Written on it, kill Sheila, kill mom, kill Sheila, set house on fire, commit suicide. Police say Sheila Dooley is a local librarian. Now, she was not injured at all. Dooley had sent her letters apparently in the past, anonymous love letters in the mail. She didn't know, though, that there was McDaniel who was sending her the letters. Neighbors described McDaniel as a recluse. A man suspected of murdering 4 people pleaded not guilty to an attempted murder charge against him today. Alvin Brown allegedly tried to rape an 18-year-old woman last month and then threw her from his car near Interstate 5 and Southwest 22nd Avenue. Brown is already in jail on robbery and aggravated theft charges. The Portland police say he's also a suspect, though, in the murders of 4 Portland women as far back as 1981, but so far he has not been formally charged with those crimes.
Today, the defense attorney for William Kennedy Smith grilled the woman who claimed that Smith raped her Easter weekend in West Palm Beach, Florida. As Pat Neal reports, it was another emotional day of testimony.
The defense spent much of the day pinpointing lapses in the woman's memory and trying to build a case of consensual sex. As for remembering when her pantyhose came off,
did you have your pantyhose on when you walked through the house?
I don't remember.
Did you have your pantyhose on when you walked across the lawn?
I don't remember.
the woman could not recall if she had previously made plans with a male friend for the night of the alleged attack. And the woman admitted confusion over which way her head was facing while screaming during the time she claimed Smith raped her, contradicting what she told police before the trial. The woman denied she changed her story after hearing about an expert who was expected to testify that those inside the Kennedy estate would have heard her screams if she was facing the house as she originally stated. The woman again denied having sex on the beach with Smith or taking off her underwear there. The defense is expected to try to prove her underwear had sand particles from the beach. Black also attempted to build a case of consensual sex, claiming the woman thought Smith attractive and hoped he'd ask for her phone number.
You were hoping to see him because, as you said, he was a Kennedy, among other reasons.
Initially, he did not introduce himself to me as a Kennedy.
The prosecutor redirected.
Did your mother ever suggest to you that going out and picking up a guy at a bar for sex was getting a life?
No.
That's the way your family raised you?
No.
The woman consistently said she was only interested in Smith as a friend because of a common interest in medicine. She repeated that Smith raped her and that she told him no and to stop. As for damage to her underclothes...
Was any damage ever done to your bra during this assault?
No.
The alleged victim says she has been fearful of the power of the Kennedy family and that the defendant has used the news media to slander her name.
A mistrial may have been avoided after prosecutors asked this question late in the day.
Do you have any ulterior motive for going through this?
Yes.
What is that?
Objection, Your Honor. Motivation.
Probably. What he did to me was wrong. I have a child. What he did to me was wrong. And it's not right. And I don't want to live the rest of my life in fear of that man. And I don't want to be responsible for him doing it to somebody else.
I object, Your Honor.
Judge Mary Lupo told jurors to disregard the answer, but it could still end up as grounds for appeal if the verdict goes against William Kennedy Smith. Pat Neal, CNN, West Palm Beach, Florida.
One of the most notorious mass murderers in modern American history is dead tonight. Richard Speck died of a heart attack in a Joliet, Illinois prison hospital. He was 49 years old. Speck was convicted of murdering 8 student nurses in their Chicago townhouse in 1966. For that, he was sentenced to a minimum of 400 years in prison.
On the political scene in Washington, D.C., President Bush picked Transportation Secretary Samuel Skinner today to be his next chief of staff. Skinner replaces John Sununu, who resigns December 15th because he became a political liability to the president. Skinner chose not to talk with reporters today, but the president explained why he picked Skinner to be his next chief of staff.
Of our cabinet, he's demonstrated the leadership skills necessary to guide our staff, work with the Congress, coordinate my activities with the new campaign organization. And I know he'll do an outstanding job for me and the country.
More changes. The president also announced that Commerce Secretary Robert Mosbacher will chair his re-election campaign. However, the president named no replacements for either Skinner or Mosbacher.
Well, coming up next on the news, the number of jobless Americans continues to climb, and the state of Oregon says problems with unemployment benefits here are being fixed. We'll find out.
Also ahead tonight, we will continue our week-long Pearl Harbor anniversary series with a look at Portland's role as a major shipbuilding center during World War II.
Discouraging news from the Labor Department has dashed hopes that the economy is on the rebound. The Labor Department reports that 471,000 people filed new unemployment claims during the week ending November 23rd. That is 57,000 more than the week before. About 11,000 people worldwide have lost their jobs because Pan American, that is, World Airways went under. The airline closed for good yesterday, of course, and today one unemployment office in Miami had to turn ex-Pan Am workers away because there were so many of them lined up. Jobless benefits for laid-off Pan Am workers could begin in about 10 days.
Well, there are now more than 40,000 Oregonians on unemployment, and state employment experts say up to half of those could be eligible for extended benefits. As Teresa Luce found today, it's getting harder for the unemployed to get back to work.
Many of the people waiting in line at the Portland Employment Office are signing up for extended benefits. One is Patrick Simpson. He lost his job at a Roseburg mill last January.
I was glad. I was really glad. I mean, I'm in a pinch right now, and it really comes in handy.
Patrick is one of 7,000 Oregonians who have applied for these benefits. People who come here to look at job listings say they're often disappointed.
The usual janitorial stuff. Nothing against the janitors, because, I mean, it's a job, but it's professional. I hold an associate's degree, and it's just the jobs aren't here.
The Portland Unemployment Office has seen a decrease in the number of jobs available. There have only been about half as many job listings this year as there were the year before.
So it's getting a lot grimmer for a lot more people.
Researcher John Stone says he's worried about people like these, new applicants for unemployment payments.
After that, go ahead to the second line, put your first name.
Portland unemployment has not been this high since 1985.
I know the general thinking at the state level is that we will have a mild upturn next year. Well, let's hope so. It certainly won't be anything other than mild. And we may see a good bit more pain and suffering before we see that.
That's not very encouraging to Patrick Simpson.
I want a job. I want a home for my family and stuff. You know, I just want to get back and I want to work.
In downtown Portland, Teresa Luce, the 10 o'clock news.
Some Oregonians who think that they have run out of unemployment benefits are about to hear some good news from the state. A state computer erroneously sent out this letter to 2,000 people saying their payments would end. Well, the state has been in a rush to reprogram computers after Congress passed extended unemployment benefits last week.
A lot of people will have read about the extension, and they'll say, well, wait a minute, I know there's an extension, and a lot of them are probably coming in anyway. But there are some who will look at that and say, well, I'm confused and not contact us.
People unemployed since February of last year may be entitled to an additional 13 weeks of payments because of the new law.
State police have seized nearly 600 illegal video poker machines. Police raided a warehouse in Salem Wednesday, which was owned, that is, by the Coin Amusement Company of Salem. The owner of that company is out of town and could not be reached for comment. The machines became illegal on Sunday at midnight, and people who are found with the machines can face up to 5 years in jail and $100,000 fines. State police have not removed the machines yet. They say their investigation will take several more weeks.
Well, I guess you could call this a sign of the changing times and certainly not a sign of improvement. Bell ringers for the Volunteers of America are being robbed. Officials say they'll collect money more often from now on from the bell ringers. Bell ringers are at 30 different sites soliciting money to give to the needy, to buy things for the needy. The money kettle is locked inside portable chimneys. Well, $500 has been taken since Sunday from Washington Square and Lloyd Center bell ringers. And yesterday, somebody pulled a knife on a volunteer, a bell ringer at Lloyd Center. No money was taken in that incident. No one was injured. But everywhere, bell ringers are urged to be careful.
What
Can
a
you imagine?
sad thing to
It's
have
a very
happen.
sad commentary, isn't it?
You bet. Well, Jim, get us something to, lighten the mood. Tell us there's going to be sunshine and flowers in our future.
73 and sunny in Phoenix tomorrow.
And
there you go.
tickets for all.
Hey, we'll take that.
Okay, outside though, we've got some rain falling. Can you believe that? Light rain, 51 degrees at this hour. The barometer 29.80 and rising. Humidity 90%. South winds at 13 at the airport. Around the state, well, we continue to have the clouds and the rain in the interior valleys with temperatures on the mild side, really, for this time of year, 50s and some 40-degree readings. And we expect to see continued mild readings for, well, at least through tomorrow afternoon. By tomorrow, though late, we're going to see things begin to change. Today's high was 54, the record 49 set back in 1970, and the low last night 48. The record low is 20. That was set back in 1972 and get pretty brisk this time of year. So far, nothing of that nature in sight for us here in the Portland area. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 7:36. The sun sets 4:27. Okay, here's a look now at those high temperatures today. We were in the mid-50s up and down the coastline, pretty secure for our temperatures. Some of those wind gusts, though, were up around the same area. Yeah, we had some 60s at Seaside, also at Cannon Beach, a 60-mile-per-hour gust reported late this afternoon. The winds are beginning to die down on the North Oregon coast. They'll continue down to the south in the 30 to 40-mile-per-hour range, and they'll die down overnight as well. We've had some fairly healthy gusts up to 20 and 25 miles per hour here in the Portland area. For central and eastern Oregon, temperatures, low 40s, upper 30s some areas. And those are the highs. Again, very mild for central and eastern Oregon for this time of year. Our precipitation amounts, you can see fairly significant. Astoria, over 2 inches for the last 24 hours up until 4 p.m. this afternoon. Over, well, about 1 inch and 8/10 for Tillamook today. And just a little over 3/4 of an inch for Newport. They had 76/100 today. Central and eastern Oregon, fairly dry. We're going to see some snows in the Northeast Mountains, also in the Cascades, by late tomorrow night as that snow level begins to drop down. We've had rain in the Cascades with the high freezing levels. They're going to drop by late tomorrow afternoon into Friday. Good news for the weekend. We hope to get some more snow for the Cascades. Here's a look now. Plenty of snow for the Great Lakes states, continuing with temperatures in the teens and the 20s for highs today around the Great Lakes states. We'll have snow overnight continuing tomorrow and dropping down as far south as Kentucky in some areas. And temperatures warming up just a little bit in the nation's midsections. These areas were in the 30s yesterday. We see the 50s common today. But temperatures...
Good evening. I'm Marcia Coffey. Tonight, as Fox 49 presents Newsroom 6, the William Kennedy Smith rape trial finished out the week with Senator Edward Kennedy taking the stand. A full report on his testimony tonight at 10. Also tonight, the Navy is helping Portland commemorate the 50th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Join us for all the news, sports, and weather coming up tonight at 10.
I'm Kim Singer. Gary Hill has the night off. Amity police are investigating a pipe bomb explosion at a city park. Christians, Muslims, and Jews here in Portland launch a cavalcade to promote peace. In Washington tonight, President Bush's top aides gather for a Gulf crisis meeting. And for many folks, the big story today was football. The top college teams and the Bull Bonanza. The 10 o'clock news is next. Good evening, everybody. Police in Amity, Oregon are looking for some New Year's revelers who used pipe bombs to ring in the new year, damaging a city park in the process. 1991 was just a few minutes old when explosions shook windows and woke up neighbors near this city park.
Well, we were all in bed, and about 12:30, one of them exploded and just shook all the windows, so we come outside, and they were going off over here in the park around the trees.
When McMillan got up this morning, he went over to the park to have a look around and found another pipe bomb. He called Amity police, who quickly cordoned off the area.
We found 2 devices that had been detonated, what appears to be some damage to some of our park equipment, and 1 device that was not exploded.
Amity's police chief says the unexploded pipe bomb was about 9 inches long. The fuse had been lit and was partially burned. The Salem Police Department's bomb squad was called in, and the bomb was defused without incident. Volunteer firemen searched the grounds for more explosives, but none were found. Amity police say the pipe bombs damaged some park equipment, but there were no injuries, fortunately. Police say they do have several suspects in mind. Well, Portland fire officials are still investigating the cause of a fire that broke out in a city warehouse early today. Fire crews were called to the City Water Bureau warehouse and maintenance shop about 2:30 this morning. When they arrived, flames were coming out the second-story windows. It took 44 firefighters to bring the blaze under control. Damage to the building and its contents is estimated at $50,000. Hospital officials say 3 men who survived a plane crash near Estacada yesterday are very lucky to be alive. Both Frank Sevick, a skydiver from Tigard, and the plane's pilot, Frank Valliere, are listed in serious condition tonight at Oregon Health Sciences University. A third man in that plane, 30-year-old Scott Farmer, suffered bumps, bruises, and a concussion in the crash. He is recovering at home. His mother told the 10 o'clock news he still doesn't remember the crash, which happened about 2 p.m. yesterday. The crash claimed the life of 53-year-old William Partlow. He died of injuries after he was airlifted to Emmanuel Hospital just minutes after the crash. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. Witnesses say the plane's engine sputtered several times after takeoff from an airstrip north of Estacada. All of the men involved in the crash were members of a Clackamas County parachute club. Today, about a dozen club members went back to the crash site to help authorities with their investigation. We get the details tonight from Jim Marr.
Every pilot fears this happening. Like I say, the chances of it happening are very rare. And there was lucky that there were survivors that did survive out of the accident.
Members of the Western Sport Parachute Club spent the day dismantling the light plane that crashed at the edge of this tree farm near Estacada yesterday afternoon. Investigators from the Federal Aviation Administration will now take the engine apart, piece by piece, in order to find out just what caused the aircraft to sputter, then lose power. Club members say the pilot was an experienced flyer and skydiver.
I've been at it too long. I guess I'm just conditioned to it. 37 years of this activity, and it never makes it any easier when you lose your close friends.
This is the first fatality Hatley says he can remember in the club's 25-year history. Club members meet on weekends to jump. Mike Peters had flown in the wrecked plane hundreds of times. He says he's still trying to understand how it happened.
The chances of an engine cutting that low to the ground is about one of the worst things that can happen. Skydiving still goes on. Something like that could have happened anywhere at any time.
Near Estacada, Jim Marr, the 10 o'clock news.
The search for a missing pilot from southern Oregon resumed today. 47-year-old James Proctor has been missing since December 23rd. That's when witnesses say they saw him take off from this airfield near Shady Cove. Rescue crews suspended their search for Proctor yesterday, but the teams were back in the air today after citizens called in and reported seeing low-flying planes about the time Proctor would have disappeared. It's believed Proctor was the only one on board the single-engine aircraft. Well, a warning for people who use the Sandy River. Probably a good idea to avoid fish there for a day or two. The Troutdale sewage treatment plant will close tomorrow afternoon, so a Portland General Electric crew can make repairs to power lines that have caused 2 outages. Now, the 2-hour closure tomorrow may cause raw sewage to spill into the Sandy River. Last week, more than 100,000 gallons of untreated sewage spilled from the plant because of power outages. The problem was traced to a tree that had toppled some power lines. The repairs were originally scheduled for last weekend, but they've now been delayed until tomorrow when everybody gets back to work and to school. Without power, the plant cannot treat the sewage, and it spills directly into the river.
My name is Sheila, and my New Year's resolution is for peace and harmony and to build up my savings account.
With America possibly on the brink of war, some 200 Portlanders got together today to pray for peace. The so-called Cavalcade for Peace took the worshipers to 3 holy places, a Jewish temple, a Muslim mosque, and a Christian church. Our reporter Florence Jonick traveled with the caravan.
Appropriately, the Cavalcade for Peace started at Temple Neve Shalom, a name which means dwelling of peace in Hebrew. Rabbi Joshua Stamfer called on God to restore the world's leaders to sanity.
We call upon our nation's leaders to pursue justice through the paths of peace.
Rodney Page, organizer of the Peace Cavalcade, asked Portlanders to refrain from using their automobiles the first Sabbath of each month to reduce the nation's reliance on oil.
I dare say that if Kuwait produced figs and oranges and shipped to the rest of the world, we would not be there today.
On that note, the 200 worshipers carpooled over to the Portland Rizwan Mosque on Southwest 35th Avenue. There, guests were asked to remove their shoes to protect the rug on which Muslims pray. Inside, the prayer for peace was the same, only God was called Allah. The final stop on the Cavalcade for Peace was the First Christian Church in downtown Portland, where they prayed that the U.S. government will make peace a top priority. In downtown Portland, Florence Jonick, the 10 o'clock news.
President Bush called his top advisors to the White House tonight to talk about the Persian Gulf crisis. He called that meeting within hours of his return from a 12-day Camp David vacation. Those at the meeting included Defense Secretary Dick Cheney, Chief of Staff John Sununu, and Secretary of State James Baker. The meeting lasted 1.5 hours. Afterward, officials said no decisions were made, adding the meeting was just a post-holiday review session on developments in the Gulf. Vice President Dan Quayle finished his 3-day tour of the Gulf today with a visit to the crew of the aircraft carrier USS John F. Kennedy. Later, he also talked with an elite fighter patrol unit in Saudi Arabia. Quayle told everyone he is more than confident American troops are ready to do battle, and he predicted this for 1991.
Last year, 1990, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. This year, 1991, Saddam Hussein will leave Kuwait.
Before Quayle returns to America, he will meet with the exiled Emir of Kuwait to ask that he help support the extended stay of U.S. forces in the Gulf. An additional 2,600 National Guard and Army Reserve members are being called up for active duty in Operation Desert Shield. Many soldiers already in Saudi Arabia say being away from home for the holidays is the worst part of their duty so far. Rick Salinger reports on New Year's Eve, Marine style, in Saudi Arabia.
It seems like a million miles from home. With war clouds building, these Marines greeted the new year right in the middle of the desert.
You know, New Year's is a time of the year when you normally think of a party, but this doesn't happen to be a party place.
The Desert Inn isn't serving drinks. No liquor allowed here in Saudi Arabia.
We don't have the booze. Party. I just wish we had some beer from back home in the States, but that's sort of impossible out here.
I'm looking forward to next year's New Year. I don't plan on staying here. I'm looking forward to going home.
Artillery, manned by the Marines of the India Battery 311. They've been here 4.5 months, and now they welcome the new year, but not like some do back home. As the sun set on 1990, these Marines wondered if the new year would bring peace or war.
Well, being here, I think about how I spent the other New Year's and how I cherish, just being where I was then rather than now, on the brink of going to war.
The full moon provides the light during the bone-chilling desert nights. Other than that, only small flashlights allowed outside so as not to reveal their position to the Iraqis. Beneath the blackout tarp, a game of cards and a gag tape from back home highlighted their New Year's Eve. And oh yes, a bottle of Saudi champagne, sparkling grape juice. Dawn, a new day, a new year. But 2 weeks from now, a much more important day for these men, when force may be used to oust the Iraqis from Kuwait.
I think the 15th is a bigger day in their minds. New Year's Day is just another day.
But a day worth acknowledging for the folks back home.
1, 2, 3.
Rick Salinger, CNN, Saudi Arabia.
Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein spent New Year's Eve with his troops near Iraq's border with Kuwait. He even cooked dinner for some of them. The Iraqi news agency says Hussein has ordered 60 more units, or about 100,000 troops, to the border with Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, an Arab military expert says Iraq has gathered new divisions of 130,000 top soldiers, possibly to protect Kuwait against attack. On New Year's Eve, Hussein predicted Allah will protect Iraq.
We don't want to see one drop of blood spilled. But whatever God wills, that is the way it's going to be.
Hussein again said Iraq will not leave Kuwait. Meanwhile, there are new signs Iraq is getting ready to make good on its threats to attack Western targets if war breaks out. Greek authorities have reportedly arrested 15 Iraqis who say they were headed to Europe to launch terrorist attacks in the event of war.
My name is Brad Elliott,
And I'm Cindy Brunk.
and we live here in Portland. We live together. And we've just been talking inside about what we're going to do this next year, and one is to communicate better. And we decided that relationships in this life are not trained enough and are not, what are we saying?
Nobody knows how to do it.
Nobody knows how to do it. And we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
How do I be good to a woman, and how does a woman be good, how does
And
this woman be good to me?
and our resolution this year is to try not to kill each other.
Right.
1991 had barely begun when Portland got its first baby of the new year. Devin DeCamp made his appearance at 12 seconds past midnight at Good Samaritan Hospital. The son of Paul and Debbie DeCamp of Gresham, he weighed in at 7 pounds, 11 ounces. The baby was born so close to midnight that his parents had a choice of having a 1990 tax deduction or the first baby of 1991. They chose the latter.
Counted down with Dick Clark.
The choice was to breathe or not breathe. No, push or not push, and it was push and take a break, or push and have it before, 12 o'clock. But when I took a deep breath and then pushed, it was 12 seconds after 12, so it was awfully close.
Baby Devin seemed totally unaware of all the attention he's getting. He slept right through all the interviews and the bright lights of the TV cameras. Well, the baby who stole the limelight as Portland's first baby of last year is Eric Loop. And tonight, Elliot Lewis checked in on Eric and his family.
Last New Year's Eve, Peter and Beth Loop were doing the same thing they're doing this New Year's Day, watching football. But a year ago, something interrupted them. The birth of their first child, Eric. He came into the world 38 minutes after midnight on January 1st, making him Portland's first baby of 1990.
Start singing. Happy birthday to you.
And now, the Loops and the rest of their family are celebrating Eric's first birthday.
Birthday to you.
Eric, okay, Eric. Eric, there you go. Cake.
Oh, you'll have no trouble picking out the birthday boy here. He's the one making his parents proud by wearing his birthday cake.
What did I eat? One of my flavors, one of my hands.
You want all this notoriety because you want to tell everybody you got a kid, and having it in all the papers was an easy way of doing it. You got relatives we didn't even know about come and tell us about it, so that's kind of fun.
But the Loops say they don't think of their son as a New Year baby much anymore.
The sort of the New Year baby stuff wore off after about 2 months, and he's just like every other kid. To us, he's the greatest kid in the world, but that's because he's ours.
As for what Eric himself thinks of all this attention, well, he's a child of few words. But it sounds like he's enjoying it. Elliot Lewis, the 10 o'clock news.
The 1 million people who lined the parade route for the Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena today saw a little bit of Oregon pass by. 1990 Rose Queen Erin Neal was perched on top of this Rose Festival float for the 5.5-mile procession. The Rose Festival float was one of 60 in the parade. Also included was the Aloha High School Warrior Band. That band has been named the best marching band in the state 4 times. This was the 102nd Rose Parade. Well, as you might imagine, it takes a lot of people to put together a parade as big as the annual Rose Bowl Parade. Ann McDermott tells us about the event and what it was like behind the scenes.
Godzilla versus Pasadena. There's nothing like the Tournament of Roses parade.
It's flowers, it's flash, it's fantasy, it's giant pigs. And let's not forget the waves. Royal waves, celebrity waves, Ford waves, bodacious waves. But that's what you see on TV. What you don't see, the 24 hours leading up to the parade, is nearly as interesting. Frantic last-minute float preparations, and the fans who traditionally show up hours, even days ahead, passing the time throwing marshmallows. Yes, throwing marshmallows, but we'll get back to that later. Meanwhile, more and more gathered through the night to get a front row seat, make that sleeping bag at the parade. The Rose Parade attracts more and more people every year.
And more nuts and lots of fruits.
Well, you could say that again. Like Bart. He's always good for a party. And then there's this gentleman, Mr. What did you say your name is again?
People call me Rudolph, people call me Bullwinkle, they even call me Moosehead. But for the official record, it's Chris Moose.
It's not clear what you'd call this parade goer. They come from all over, like this man, introduced only as Uncle Herman from Dusseldorf. How does he like the parade? How do you prepare for a rose parade? Lots of coats, lots of blankets. Anything else? No long underwear? Yeah. Finally, it's parade time. Of course, by then, some are too numb to care. Some are too numb to stay awake. Parade officials are on their toes, though. Remember all those marshmallows? Well, they get them vacuumed up on the double. And now, bring on the float. Well, that's it. Except for the cleanup, the Rose Parade is over for another year. Unless, of course, you happen to be in the float biz. For the people who build those things, it's never over.
In about 3 days, we'll start dismantling these floats, making room to start on the contracts for next year's parade.
After all, a purple people eater isn't built in a day. Ann McDermott, CNN, Pasadena.
For fans of college football, there is no day quite like New Year's Day. Die-hard fans, as well as a few New Year's Eve revelers, showed up at area sports bars this morning to catch the first of 12 televised bowl games. Here at Champions, many patrons were carrying on a New Year's Day tradition filled with friends, food, and football.
And so we're usually in a bar, watching a sports game, getting ready to make the home back to Olympia.
Kind of a New Year's tradition for you?
Well, yeah, it's nice to have a lazy day after the late evening.
Not really. I'd rather be down in Pasadena, but, you know, since this is a city of the roses, I kind of figured that it's appropriate.
Many patrons admit one of the reasons they went to a bar to watch football today was to help chase away hangovers from last night. And many establishments report selling an unusual number of Bloody Marys today. Orange juice and coffee were also big sellers. But just in time for the new year, we are getting a break from that cold spell we went through last week. George Steffen is sitting in with us tonight to tell us what we can look forward to. We may not be totally out of the woods, huh, George?
Well, not totally out of the woods. We're still going to go into the very coldest part of the year in the end of January. But for the next several days, things are looking nice with normal highs in the mid-40s.
George will be back with a complete forecast right after this.
My name is Donnie Lehman, and I live in Southwest Portland, and my goal for this year is to make peace with Iraq.
All kinds of weather today, a little bit of sunshine, some fog, and some clouds, but definitely warmer temperatures than we experienced over the last 2 weeks of December, and that's good news to a lot of people. Right now at the Portland Airport, dense fog. As a matter of fact, visibility down to just 1/16 of a mile. Temperatures at 36 degrees. Barometric pressures at 30.36 and is steady. Relative humidity at 96%, and the winds are calm. Here are current conditions around the Pacific Northwest at this hour. It's 38 degrees in Astoria, low 40s along the Washington coastline, 41 up in Seattle, 39 in Olympia, east side of the Cascades, 19 in Wenatchee at this hour, 3 below in Baker City. They've got a pocket of cold air trapped right over them. They've been very, very cool for the last 2 days while the rest of Oregon and Washington has been warming up. And let's take a look at those high temperatures from this afternoon. 48 degrees was the high at the Portland Airport. 44 degrees is the normal high for this time of the year. It's 48 down in Salem, 45 in Eugene, 50 degrees at Newport, and 53 degrees down in North Bend. East of the Cascades, 29 degrees today in LeGrand, just 20 in Baker City, and 37 degrees down in Burns. Lows from last night, well, it dropped down to a very, very cold 7 degrees at Yakima, but it was just 39 in the Dalles. 36 was the low at the Portland Airport, 34 in Salem, 30s along the Oregon and Washington coastline. It was a very, very chilly 2 degrees down in Klamath Falls last night. Precipitation amounts very, very light, just a weak flow of some moist air moving into the western portions of Oregon and Washington. 16 100ths of an inch recorded at Olympia, just 2 100ths at the Portland Airport in the last 24 hours, ending at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and 15 100ths was recorded at Tillamook. Statistics for today's date, the record high of 60 was set in 1981. There's our today's high of 48 degrees. The record low for this date is 14, and there's your sunrise and sunset. Those days slowly getting longer and longer now. Precipitation totals for 1990. We had 32.86 inches of rainfall and snowfall combined. That was about 4.5 inches below normal. Now notice for December, we were about 4.01 inches below normal. So we were normal up and through the last part of November, but then it was a very dry December that caused our rainfall totals to be below normal. Now, weather across the nation, well, very, very moist along the Midwest portion of the country. As a matter of fact, we have some video tonight from Indiana where the White River is flooding. Also some flooding being recorded near the Yellow River. And as a matter of fact, over 24 rivers from the Great Lakes down into the Gulf Coast reporting flooding conditions. The good news is, and you can probably see in these photos here, that the sunshine is out now and things are going to be cooling down, so that will be helping the conditions there over the next several days. Temperatures around the nation very, very cold across the northern plains, of course, with the Arctic cold front there. East side, well, very, very warm down in Florida. Again, 79 at Miami Beach, but 86 at Tallahassee. Record high for the month of January down there. Let's take a look at tonight's satellite picture. You can see some cloudiness offshore, but nothing really to worry about. We still have a small ridge of high pressure right here, jet stream far to our north and then diving down in the central part of the country. This is going to keep us fairly dry. But with the moisture at the surface and warmer air aloft, we're going to see fog forming. So we do have a dense fog advisory in effect for the local area tonight, and we're going to see that dense fog hang through tomorrow morning, but possibly some clearing for tomorrow afternoon. Let's check the forecast, starting off with the Oregon coastline. They'll see partly cloudy skies tomorrow, and highs will 45 to 50 degrees with overnight lows in the mid-30s. Winds will be out of the east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For the Willamette Valley, it will be cloudy or foggy early tomorrow, but there will be areas of afternoon clearing. Tomorrow's highs in the upper 30s to lower 40s. For the Cascades, it will be partly cloudy with the freezing level right around 7,000 feet. A little bit warmer air moving in. Winds will be out of the west at 5 to 15 miles per hour. For the Columbia Gorge, low clouds or fog in the east with partly cloudy skies in the west. Tomorrow's highs in the upper 30s. For central and eastern Oregon, patchy areas of fog, otherwise mostly sunny skies with highs between about 25 and 35. Still chilly at night, though. And for the Portland metro area, once again, a dense fog advisory for tonight. There will be areas of afternoon clearing, otherwise mostly cloudy or foggy conditions, and most likely foggy over the west side of Portland, with the better chance of clearing be on the east side of Portland tomorrow afternoon.
So with that fog advisory in effect, that means maybe get up a little early tomorrow and plan on a little extra time getting to work.
That would be a very good idea. Visibilities will probably maintain fairly low readings until about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Well past the rush hour. Okay, George, we'll see you for updates before the end of the show.
Okay.
Thanks. Still ahead on the 10 o'clock news tonight, we'll take a look at U.S.-Soviet relations as we begin what will surely be a most difficult and challenging year. And a little later, we will check out some folks who plan to make 1991 the year to get physical.
I'm Roberta Mattison.
And I'm Jack Madison.
And we're from Portland. My New Year's resolution goes along with everyone else's. I think I just want to work out more and concentrate on good health.
And I want to keep on growing up, and I want to make my dad quit smoking.
New Year's Day brought prayers from peace from all over the world. At Vatican City, Pope John Paul said New Year's Mass at St. Peter's Basilica. Later, he addressed about 20,000 people who were gathered outside in St. Peter's Square. The Pope asked them to pray for a year of peace and to pray we avoid a war. In London, thousands of people took to the streets to ring in the new year, but celebrations got out of hand. 90 people were hurt, too seriously, while 145 people were arrested on charges ranging from drunken assault to drug possession. White House aides say President Bush made a New Year's Day phone call to Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev today. The two reportedly talked about the Persian Gulf crisis and growing problems within the Soviet Union. Frank Sesno looks now at how those problems could affect U.S.-Soviet relations.
The Soviet Union, 1991. High anxiety, desperately low morale. Celebrations of the past year's astounding changes, drowned out by economic deterioration and political and ethnic strife. President Gorbachev, in a New Year's message to America, hails the passing of the Cold War, but finds little to trumpet on the home front.
For the Soviet people, this has been a hard year, but also a year of crucial changes in our society. The year of tough but necessary choices and decisions.
President Bush, in his message to the Soviets, tries gently to encourage a reform movement now under siege.
It's an arduous journey, but one well worth making, for it is a path that leads to a brighter future for your nation.
A key Bush aide acknowledges deepening concern about the anti-reform backlash in the Soviet Union. Veteran observers say it's not Gorbachev's survival that's at issue.
The question is, can the process go on? Because inevitably, if it's a decades-long process, somebody else is going to come around to lead it at some point. Somebody has to. And if Gorbachev succumbs to too many of the conservative forces, he may disqualify himself.
For the U.S., the primary worry is Moscow's acrimonious drift to the right. Some see the potential for a crackdown in the separatist republics, or at the least a reversal in Gorbachev's perestroika. Foreign Minister Shevardnadze resigned, sounding just such dire warnings. Observers say he is just the most prominent of the casualties.
If you're speaking to the liberal reformers, they're also beginning to tone down their message, as if they know they're going to have to go into some kind of long-term hiding.
Some senior Bush advisors say they're unsure whether Gorbachev is still committed to reform. The hope is he's merely paused as he seeks to avert chaos in his country. The fear is he's becoming dependent upon the foes of perestroika, such as the KGB, to restore order. In February, President Bush is scheduled to go to Moscow, where he will encourage further Soviet reforms. But as the new year dawns, Bush aides say this is a dangerous period for the Soviet Union. They say they do not believe open civil war is likely, but in the words of one top official, it's going to be messy, and there's little the U.S. can do to help. Frank Sesno, CNN, the White House.
Next up, Phil Cassidy will attempt to condense an entire day's worth of football action into one single sportscast. And when he's done, the answer to this question, who's number one in the college ranks?
My name is John Pease. I'm from Bend, Oregon. My New Year's resolution is to get stronger in my technical field. I'm an engineer for Bonneville Power. I want to have more fun this year. I want to see more of Oregon. And I want to run a 7-minute mile 10K. I'm going to do it. Yeah.